Each week, Rams will respond to 10 business questions from one of you. Send your 10 questions to Rams via voice note or video clip to 067 271 8239, and Rams will respond every Saturday, only on YouTube. Talk with Rams Live, or else uzoithola kanjani.
And Zotwa are sitting in their living room sipping some wine. Out of the blue, Zotwa says, "I love you." Temba opens his eyes and he says, "Is that you talking or the wine talking?" "It's me," says Zotwa, "but I'm talking to the wine." Welcome to the most powerful 30 minutes of digital content this side of the equator. And you can't prove me wrong in that. And thank you for choosing to join us. Good evening and welcome to Talk with Rams Live. We are on Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube. On all platforms is Talk with Rams. Please like, follow, and subscribe to our pages. When you subscribe to our YouTube page and take a screenshot of that page and send it to admin at Talk with Rams, you will get a 50% discount for the book by Dr. Thami Banda, The Winning Mindset, and it will be sent to your front door. Do not miss that opportunity. Did you miss us yesterday? Be honest now. We won't judge you. I can tell you this much. We missed you badly, if I must add. And I hope you missed us too. Sorry for going missing in action on you. Life happened on us. The little said the better about yesterday. We are glad to be back with you tonight. So, school is open. It is Wisdom Wednesday. Pen and paper are requirements of the day. Tonight, the education comes from customer service coach Thami Banda. Mambo, good evening.
Good evening, Mambo. Let me start by saying habari. It's our culture now.
Habari mzuri. So, it's good to see you, mate. Are you well?
It's wonderful to see you. I'm very well, albeit humbled by a platform like this one, the best digital content. It forces us to prepare much more as we get into the customer service level. There are levels in this country, so this is a customer service level.
I will tell you this much. I know personally that I gain so much out of these sessions. So, I can only hope that our audiences also learn, but I know I do. And so you're not coming back here because I lack content or it's a favor. I'm doing it because personally, as a business person, I learn so much and I am truly grateful for your time.
Thank you so much, and I appreciate it. And thank you to your viewers as well.
Yeah. So when we started, we played you an ad. I hope you did not miss it. If you did, we'll play it at the end again. But that ad is introducing a new feature on Talk with Rams Live. It's called Top 10 Questions. So if you run a business and you've got 10 questions, business questions for me. Now, this is a challenge that was put to me that, I call other people to give education. What about me? So if you've got 10 questions to ask me about how to better your questions, I ask you to write them to us or send us a voice note on 067 287 6283, 6289. That's the number, 271 6289. I ask you to send us a voice note, or better still, I prefer to see your face. Take a selfie video, ask the 10 questions, because then we can play the selfie video, and then I will respond to the 10 questions. We take one member of the audience per week, and we play this strictly on YouTube every Saturday. So start preparing the 10 questions for me, and I'll give you my best answers on how to better your business on 10 questions. That's the new feature. It only happens on Saturdays but we need to receive your questions no later by end of Thursday every week. And we can only take one per week. So the earliest bird will catch the fattest worm. I'm now chowing Mambo's time, and it is wrong. That's bad customer service on my part there, Mambo, isn't it?
Well, time is money, but also information is equipping. So this is good for the audience, and I'm encouraging them to participate.
So you say to me in
Yes, sir.
customer service, language is everything. Talk to me, man.
Yeah, look, whenever you have an interaction with a customer about a service or a product, it's very important to have the right language, a concise, simple, straight to the point, aligned to the brand type of language. We will get into much more details of that. And I'm just going to share tonight just 5 tips of a good, positive customer service language, which I think, as I always say, customer service is a way of life. We should be able to practice them in our human state as well.
So how can then, I mean, I know we're going to get to details, and brands are faced with a lot of problems, a lot of challenges. And when I mean brands, I mean from product to service, to even personal brands like Fred Kumalo, who just joined us on Instagram here. Those are personal brands. Everybody is always faced with, a bit of a paradox. The customer is always looking for something. They want quick responses. They want quick answers. They want quick returns for their investment. When I buy his book, I want quick satisfaction right away. So how can brands express positive and personal, powerful messages to satisfy customers? Give me the 5 tips, and I want them now because I paid you for this. Oh, sorry, I didn't pay you.
Well, the first one that we need to get into is that you must always avoid the negative language or doubtful language, as some may say as well. So you've got to avoid that at all times. It doesn't matter how many times you have an encounter with a customer. Always avoid negative language. And negative language is as simple as this. Can I get this tomorrow? And the customer service practitioner says, I'm not sure. That's not encouraging. It doesn't allow me to desire to come back and interact with this business. It sounds like a very simple, assuring statement from you. But if you're saying, I am not sure, you are not actually helping the sale to take place. You are also not helping the brand or the institution to stand out in a customer, because sometimes you might not have it, but there will be something else to sell. There might be something else that the customer may experience. But if you start to say, I'm not sure, they will go to a place which has got some kind of surety, even if it's not concrete, but they would not certainly come back for, I'm not sure, or something like, I can't find what you're looking for. I can't source what you're looking for.
I think about that. I mean, I hear a lot of people saying to me, we can't do that. When I say to them, could you valet my car? And they say, you can't do that. Like, well, that's not helpful.
It's one of, and that's why some of the most prominent businesses these days, I mean, if you use a car as an example, top of mind, what comes up is Caltex as a filling station. They have gone on a huge drive, if you pay attention to them, to have also a car wash on the side, because the idea is to create an entire consumer, as we always talk about it, the customer experience. So if somebody says, you've cleaned my windshield at the filling station, you've also exposed the dirt of the car, so it can go to the car wash and be cleaned out. So these are things that we are looking for, not to say, I can't do it. How can you sell a suit that you need to sculpture to my body size, and you say you don't know a tailor, and you say you can't do that? You don't do that with a consumer. A consumer is a person who should experience the most highest level of kindness and this little thing that we call an extra mile.
Wow. So I assume if I should not use negative language, I probably should then use positive language, or am I being too simplistic about it?
It might sound very simple, Mambo, and it's something that most of the people take for granted. And that's why we are here to conduct such trainings, because such communication as well just doesn't happen top of mind. You have to engage people like us for us to be able to say, this can be done this way. This is the positive language of this institution. So you are very, very right that there is positive customer service language. And I just want to use a very simple one that we can all think about and can adapt it to all things possible in terms of the sale. You know, I always say that there is no reason why a person can walk into a Nike shop and not come out with an item, because Nike has got a very interesting payoff line. It says, just do it. That just do it doesn't only work in terms of the customer as well. It also works in terms of the service provider, the salesperson who is selling that product. He has to just, or she has to just do it. And the other one on the other side has to just do it and purchase. So there is a do it, there's a doing that has to happen on both sides. So if a consumer or a customer walks into a Nike shop, he must feel, I'm about to do the same. And the person who is serving that guy must just say, I'm about to sell an item. So that do it should be on both sides. So there is already a positive mindset in that. So when you get there and you say, no, I'm buying a pair of sneakers or running shoes, and they don't have your size, it goes without saying that they should just make that call to find out where it can be found, and not only refer you to that Nike shop, but source it for you to this place. Why? Because as much as the money would be going through the same chain or to the same household, the difference in this is who made the service. It's not about the sale. Who made the service?
You said something to me a while ago, and I'm not sure whether it was over whiskey or over whiskey, but it could have been over whiskey. When you said, you know, when a customer is asking for something that you do not have, and they seem to show frustration, even when you are positive, continue to show empathy.
True, because in the level of frustration, let's take it a step back, which we always do in this show, and that's why I love it so much. We always also debate a very simple thing to say, customers are there to look for a solution. Imagine a guy who is actually walking into your shop, forced to buy a suit because he is going for an interview. That gentleman is not buying a suit. He's securing a job. Assist him to secure the job. The guy who comes through and buys a suit in your shop, who is getting married, is not buying a suit. He's buying a memory. Assist him to create that memory. So if there is a piece of cloth that is going to make the suit, or a pocket square that is going to make that suit stand out, go an extra mile to create a memory, so that every time he checks that album, every time he watches that DVD, I don't know if they record weddings these days, he will look at that pocket square and say, if it were not for Temba and his great wine commentary, I wouldn't have this pocket square, you know? So it's important for us to always understand that the consumer is not buying the product. There is a bigger need that sponsors that requirement. And for us to address it is an eternal memory. So we need to go an extra mile all the time with that positive language.
Wow. Now, customer service people, you know, have been taught to engage us as the customers. You walk in, can I help you? Is there anything in particular you're looking for? But they can go on forever. Sometimes they talk too much. How is the conversation supposed to be held between a customer and a customer service provider?
This is part of the key tips in terms of having a positive language. You must always use simple but concise communication. And your communication must not be about, yes, I'm having a conversation and I'm clicking with Rams. It must be about, am I able to identify his need? So for example, good afternoon, sir. What can I help you with? No, I'm looking for sneakers. Okay, good. Are you a runner? Are you a sporty dresser? I am a runner. Okay, so what's your normal kilometer run? Oh, well, it's 22.5. Hey, well, I've tried running before, but it's been challenging for me. But you know what? For a 22-kilometer ride, this is what we recommend. You understand? You've been communicating with this gentleman, walking towards the side or the section where these sneakers are at, but you've been also trying to identify the need. And as you get into the need, you are still having a positive engagement that makes him understand and be assured that that which he's purchasing is of relevance to what he requires. So that communication must be short, concise, but with one objective in mind: unearth the need of the customer.
So, you know, as a customer, of course, I mean, I'm not saying that we are holier than thou. In fact, customers are full of something from time to time. We all know that we are all customers, and we know we can be a bit nasty.
Yes.
in the to and fro, in the back and forth of the exchange, who should the customer service provider always be the one that's brief and quick and get out of the conversation? So they must be dragged in by the customer, not the other way around.
It's very important to practice what we call a hook in a conversation. A hook in a conversation, Mambo, is the one that is meant to make the conversation flow without probing questions, right? So if somebody says, for example, we spoke about a guy who's a runner and is purchasing an item, a hook there is interesting when you say, so if you do your 22 kilometers, what's your time? Now that's not relevant to the sneaker. It's not. But what is critical is it's part of the conversation. But what you are trying to identify is the level of passion. Do you know when you now know the level of passion that triggers the sale, the price becomes less important to the customer, because suddenly that which you are appealing to is unquenchable. It's the passion.
Wow.
He will start to tell you that I do this in 2 hours, so many minutes. And you know what? I'm targeting 157. Now that is telling me even the target, you can even go to the top shelf for the price and you say, these are lighter, more comfortable, wide space for your toes. You see, you are now going to an extra space because you've appealed to something larger than life, and it's called passion. And at that point, someone equalized.
Is it at that point when you then say to them, look, I could give you this model, but really you're not a professional runner, but at the level you're running, I know this is where, Chobodoana started, and he loved this brand.
Precisely, Mambo, you've hit a nail, because it's important for you to have a point of reference, which is what you've just done. You've mentioned an athlete who started at a certain point. That's a point of reference. Secondly, you've admired the art of a non-professional runner, but you've made him feel recognized. Are you not triggering passion right there? Are you not touching those soft spaces where this sale is going to be enlarged, even if it's of the same item, by value?
So therefore, at that point, price becomes a lesser factor.
It's irrelevant, because you've appealed to the intangible, and it's called passion. It's as good as saying, if you wake me up at night and you just say to me, customer service, I may find myself talking for 3 hours because you've touched the nerve. And because of that, there's a lot I can say. So price doesn't become the key defining factor. What becomes the key defining factor is recognition. The fact that you recognize me as a customer service practitioner, you push me to an edge to unearth who I am.
Wow. Well, sometimes then we, in the age that we live in, we then make purchases or inquiries about purchases. We now shop online. We shop on our phones and on our tablets. How does it work there? What kind of language happens on that space from a customer service point of view?
The language that should always be used in the current days with the social media and everything else is the language that you are using as a human being. So it must be personified. It mustn't come across as there's a machine that I'm interacting with here. One of the things that has been irritating me in terms of call centers, for example, is that lady who always say, your call is number 9 on the line. You can tell it's recited. You're not even sure that you are number 9, but there is no personal touch. So it's important that when you are going to use a platform such as or digital platforms, that you personify your service and use the language that we are all having around us in relevance with that particular brand. I love adverts that are coming with these fast foods in South Africa. If you look at KFC, if you look at Chicken Licken, they've always adapted to the language that their customers speak, to the environment that their customers are found at. And that creates a personal appeal. That's why even when you go home, and you're driving to Middlelands and you're saying, let me buy them wings or Chicken Licken wings, as hot as they are, there still is a memory attached to them, because in the advert, there's a simple language that is being spoken that resonates with the consumer. Like, for example, I know once and always, I know exactly who that is. It's that simple.
I know that language too. So, so I have to ask though. I mean, in that space, you say, you know, even if you're writing to me and we're communicating, I'm trying to buy something, and you're writing back to me, you say we must write as we speak. But
Yes.
is language universal? Then I'll tell you. I mean, recently, I'm glad you mentioned KFC. They got into
Yes.
trouble because they tried to communicate as their audience or as their customers speak, and then they use the word motase instead of mtase. And
Mm.
and you know, closer speaking people were nonplussed
Offended.
by that because they were trying to
Um,
write as we speak.
let's start by saying that avoid abbreviations. In that language, avoid abbreviations. We are not saying now go online and write HUD, which stands for how are you doing? You know, HUD. Don't write that, but literally write how are you doing, if that's what you want to write. So for instance, in that context of Mtase, as much as it's such a beautiful word that refers to you as a homie, but it's important for it to be written in a manner that respects the owners of the language. So if you want to write slang, respect the Tsotsi guy, respect him. Don't say die thing and you write it in another way. You know, you've got to respect him, because if you respect him, it has authenticity. That's what is important. That language, as simple as it is, as engaging as it is my daily technique, it's also having authenticity. One of the things that I always laugh at when I go to Natal, I mean, we speak Zulu at home, and I've been in Joburg since I was 13. My grandmother used to ask me and say, but how come when you come here, you are not having this mar, you know, because they say Bomar and Enklek are coming from Zulu-speaking boys who are in Joburg, and now they visit KZN. And then I said to them, no, that language has got place and space. And right now, it's not the place and space for it. As relevant as it is, as I'm associated with it, but it has to be with respect of the people that I'm engaging. So write a language with the mind that says, this is the spoken language, but in respect of who the owners of the language are.
So that for me, Mambo, speaks to a bit of investment of at least time into research. And I sometimes think when I see these mistakes, I think is the marketing manager who is white, and he asks the cashier in the front line, how do you say this in your language? When they could have gone out to get a marketing agency, do a proper research, come back and say, okay, this word is used like this in Alexandra, but in Queenstown, it means something different. The best word to use is this because everybody tends to understand it. Is that what happens?
It is very, very true. And also the tendency to lift your brand, which we're getting into almost the next point, to lift your brand slightly above your consumer base. It's a fine balance. You've got to develop your brand alongside your consumer base, as you both must speak the same language, which leads us to another tip where we are saying you must develop a vocabulary that is synonymous to your brand. Don't be called love and peace, then you burn the stadium. You're not synonymous. The brand is now becoming slightly above than the consumer base. And you must remember, the consumer base are the skeleton of what the brand is. The brand is the skin. So for these things to be personified, there must be marriage between the two. So it's important for me to say, well, if I'm drinking the Macallan and it's the peerless spirit, I must be peerless in my attitude. You understand what I mean? But that doesn't mean I'm condescending to other people, but I know I'm peerless in my space. So it's important to develop a language that is synonymous to your brand, but not forgetting who your consumer base is. For instance, there was a song when I grew up. I think it was done by Condre Zukub. And, you know, I couldn't wait to get into a taxi and say, via Orlando. Because it felt like I'm part of that legendary song.
It was done by Mono and Son.
Sorry, Mono and Son, yeah. Mono and Son stories. Via Orlando, yes. So you've got to get into that space where you say, Zola, via Orlando. You feel like, yeah, no, what's happening? I also think west, east, but you just like, you know what? Give via Orlando, yeah, like a multi league. So that concept is important, because why do you think they didn't say Vayamdi? There's something about Orlando that was significant to the route, and it resonates with the person who gets into the taxi. So Habagare, you are going to Zola, but they would emphasize and say, if you forget Zola, just get a text that says via Orlando, because they knew the song is known in your mind. So don't ever leave a gap in your brand language or in your brand communication DNA against your consumer base. You will have a divorce in sales.
Well, what then when you say that, and maybe it's a conversation for another day, I tend to think when I go to big retail shops, the frontline staff does not speak the language of the brand. They don't speak the promise that the brand has given me when I walked in, and they say, you know, I walk into a Dion store and I know they closed, and the promise is that the promise we make is the promise we keep. I don't find it when I'm speaking to the people who serve me.
Well, it's as good as people who are saying together moving South Africa forward, and they are going ahead and we are remaining behind. That's what they are doing. So unfortunately, the frontline people, and those also are frontline. I mean, I get amazed when we go into a political campaign gear or mode, and you see people having slogans that you say, but you are ahead of the slogan and the consumer base is behind. So unfortunately, the example that you are making, Mambo, hits also the nail, because one thing that we don't appreciate is training, and training to become synonymous to the brand. Let me give you an example. I would love to post my flight ticket to Cape Town on my Instagram account that is under the Macallan. But what significance does it have to the Macallan? Nothing. It's my trip. It could be a personal, it could be a work trip. But a shot with you having whiskey is relevant to the platform. So the picture resonates with the platform. The caption will resonate with the platform. Even if you challenged your followers to say, caption this, they will capture it in a manner that is relevant to the platform. Why is it like that? Training, Mambo. I can tell you now, after the greeting and being asked if you need a plastic bag, there is no other thing that a cashier at Pick and Pay at Checkers Hyper will ever say to you. They will not even ask you, did you see the catalog? Margarine is down by 10 rands. They will not say that, because to them, my job is to collect money, give you a receipt and say next. It's not about building the values of this brand to entice you to come back. The security guard at the door never speaks to you until that machine beeps, and yet they want you to call again. How do I call again when you don't even recognize who I am? You know, it's important even for a security guard to know me at the Caltex garage that every Wednesday, Mr. Banda stops here and he buys the Soka Laduma, even if he's not filling his car. So that when I get out of my car, he tells me first, hey, today, Abasoi leave. You now know in advance, hey, I don't need to get into the shop, but you feel empowered. You are associated with the brand. So the message of the brand is not aloof who you are. It's synonymous with your development.
Wow. You know, it's amazing. So you're saying my language as a customer service provider should never veer off from what the brand is about, even if I'm trying to please my potential client. I should be loyal to the brand without diminishing the customer.
Yes, you must be, because the sad story about the McDonald's burger are two things: the guy you spoke to and the taste in the end. The process in between determines whether the burger will be eaten at the end. So if McDonald's says, I'm loving it, the guy who says, hello, may I take your order, does not set himself apart from KFC. He should be saying, hey, I'm loving it that you are here. Can I take your order? Because he's loving it and is making you to love it, because you are already here. So that's the type of language that we are talking about when we say bring the brand alive. Hi, I am loving it that you are here. What do you want us to serve you with? You know, and then you go on, because already he's embedding the fact that don't get out of the driveway without picking anything, even if what you want, we don't have. They're loving that you're there.
Wow. Well, I'm going to end this conversation with a quote from somebody you may or may not know. I'll say the quote first, and I'll then tell you who this person is. By using clear, consistent language with a positive tone and a personal touch, Brands can win the trust and loyalty of their customers while delivering a great experience. One Thami Banda said these words. Thank you so much for a very powerful session, mate.
Thank you so much for your platform.
Wow.
And yes, I appreciate your viewers.
You know, I honestly believe we need to have a full 1 hour webinar, not the show, a webinar with you know, some of our guests who run their own businesses behind the scenes. We don't put it live so that we don't embarrass them, where people can ask questions and interact, but real questions about customer service in their own businesses. I'm really going to put that together and make sure it happens. But as usual, thank you so much, my brother.
Zikomo kwambiri.
That's customer service coach Thami Banda, and it was Wisdom Wednesday. I'm hoping that Fred is ready with the tape, but we will finish with the tape where we repeat the message about the new feature that's coming called 10 questions, where you get an opportunity to ask me the 10 questions about how to better your business. Of course, I will steal some of the answers from people like Thami, you know. I mean, I don't know, I can't have every answer. That's why I have these people here. So, you know, I'll borrow from them, but, you know, I use all the knowledge. Tomorrow, back by popular demand, Kandani Msibi is coming back, the CEO of the National Union of Metal Workers. It is NUMSA. Yeah, NUMSA Investment Company. He's CEO of the NUMSA Investment Company. And we're talking radical economic transformation. You see, now we've decided away with the nice stuff now. We've been too nice about how to handle these things. Now it's our Tata Lumhlaba. And we're going to talk to a man who runs an amazing business or a group of businesses and is leading by example to show how we can transform the economy. Because he argues, not BEE, not government, not big corporates, and certainly not some of the people who were created by BEE care about you. So he's going to demonstrate to you how we can build it with or without them. So join us tomorrow evening for Game Changers. And I suspect that feature is going to start becoming a game-changing talk on radical economic transformation. Do not switch off when I say goodbye. Please watch this little clip. And I will certainly see you tomorrow. I hope we start getting your 10 questions so that we can talk on YouTube. From me, Rems Mabote, good night and God bless.
Each week, Rams will respond to 10 business questions from one of you. Send your 10 questions to Rams via voice note or video clip to 067 271 8239, and Rams will respond every Saturday only on YouTube. Talk with Rams Live, or else uzoithola kanjani.